I love how we've got like almost no preparation whatsoever. We just sit down and we're just like, okay, gonna record now.
Yeah. We're professionals.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit preoccupied at the moment because I just got my first power bill in Montreal.
What is it, like a crazy power bill?
Yeah, it's I'm apparently using more than 10 times the amount of electricity in Montreal that I was using in BC. So my first bill is for 1 month and it's $335.
What? Is it maybe heating? That's crazy.
I have no idea. Like it's damn cold out, but we had all our heaters turned to like 15 degrees Celsius, which is by no means hot.
Right.
And overnight I've apparently used around 60 kilowatt hours.
So it's not just that rates are higher, it's literally this crazy.
Yeah, it's literally usage, the apartment supposedly. Somehow is I don't know if the meter's broken and it's just spinning extra fast or something, because that seems like, I don't know, I in BC I was not even using 60 in a day, so to use it overnight when we're like doing nothing except sleeping is like pretty frustrating to have to pay for.
Phone charging. Wow, man. Good luck. Maybe there's some out of control appliances or something.
Yeah, I've got to check to see what our fridge is doing, because that's like, other than the heater, the only thing that was running last night. So
brutal, man.
Yeah,
I think that's higher than like my parents' power bill, and they live in Nova Scotia, which I believe is the highest electricity rates in probably the developed world or whatever.
Yeah,
and
well,
then,
Ontario is apparently really bad.
Oh, really?
I mean, there's people that are just paying this, and it's like fully legit that they're paying $300 plus a month. It's pretty insane.
I mean, most of those people, yeah, most people have houses.
Yeah,
I think, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
No fun.
Yeah, so I'm a little preoccupied with that and a little unhappy with a bill that's about 10 times more than I was expecting it to be.
I'll tell you my bill story. We got a bill for $1,000 from my health insurance company, saying that like the hospital had put in a claim for $1,000 and there wasn't enough information, so they were going to work with that hospital, and if they didn't get any more information, they'll just process the claim as is, which I just assume means charge us the full amount. And the date of service was December 25th, 2016. And I know we weren't in the hospital on that particular day, so I don't know what that's all about. And every time I've called them, I've called all kinds of people, and they're like, we don't know what that is. So there's a letter saying I have to pay $1,000, but no one seems to know what the story is.
Yeah.
So
lovely. Yeah, we had something similar to that happen. By the way, can you hear my kid in the background?
Vaguely.
Okay. I'm hoping it's incredibly quiet. I've changed my whole microphone setup and stuff, but it's like supposedly minus 20-ish outside right now, so they didn't want to go outside.
That's fair. Vaguely.
Yeah.
Not enough that it's
well, he's screaming pretty loud in a different room, so I can hear it quite loudly.
Right. You're good.
Yeah, we had something similar to that when he was born. Like the medical bills in the US just completely blow my mind, because it's like if a doctor sticks their head in the room to ask you if everything's okay, then they expect that they're going to charge you like a few $100s.
Yeah, I glossed over the bill. It was just so crazy. We had a one of those high deductible plans that like max out at some number, and so we maxed out, and I knew that would happen, and I just took the bill and said, "Yep, whatever, tack on all you want," because it didn't make any difference to me. So
yeah, my first hospital encounter in America. Obviously, I knew nothing about what was going on. Otherwise, I would have done things a little bit differently. But I got a kidney stone while I was in the States. And having not quite experienced that before, it's quite a bad pain that you get.
and probably terrifying.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. It's like, I'm like, okay, am I having like a kidney failure? Is my appendix bursting? What's going on here? All I know is I'm in like excruciating pain. I'm going to go to the hospital. And even though we lived very close to the hospital, I stupidly decided to use an ambulance.
I think you told me, yeah. Very stupidly.
Yeah. So that didn't work out too well. And I think the overall bill after our insurance paid for stuff ended up being something like somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And I was just like,
oh man,
oh, holy shit. In Canada, this would have been maybe $100, and that would have been exclusively for the ambulance.
Yeah, I haven't been on the, I haven't needed an ambulance yet. I hope I don't, but
yeah.
Yeah, you hear stories. I know, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I lived close enough to the hospital that if I'd known that's how much money it would have cost, I should have just walked. But I was in so much pain that it was like, it took me like 10 minutes just to get down the stairs to our front door. And I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It felt reasonable at the time when I had no idea what was actually happening.
Well, healthcare sucks too because, or paying for it anyway, because like you have to sign all the consent forms and stuff. You're basically saying, I'm giving you, the right to charge me whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't ahead of time get to know what that number is, but I promise to pay it.
Yeah.
And of course it has to be reasonable or whatever, but it's like, I had a test done, like I had an endoscopy done.
Yeah.
And, so the consent form is like, of course I don't remember the exact wording, but it's like, I trust that you will make professional choices and I will go with it basically, right?
Yeah.
So I had an endoscopy done and the doctor basically said, you look pretty fine. I'm pretty sure you're fine, but we just took a biopsy of this one little place to make sure whatever. And I wanted to check this other place too. And so, I'm okay with that, whatever. But then when I get the bill, it's like, you get your endoscopy bill and the biopsy bill, and it's like several hundred.
Yeah.
So it's not like they took a little scrape and then they said, we can test this. It's going to cost you hundreds of dollars. I don't think it's anything. It's just like, oh yeah, I sent that test away.
Yeah.
Expect a crazy jacked up bill in the mail.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what I signed up for. Right?
Yeah.
But it's not like I don't know. It's just there's always something that. It's just kind of an eye opener.
Yeah, and it's pretty insane for us to complain, considering like your employer, I imagine, gives you a pretty decent health insurance, as did Andrea's. If you consider how many people live there that just like have the bare minimum insurance now that they legally have to have it.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm kind of not really complaining. The way I think of it is like, if I think of how much more tax I'd be paying in Canada, like that tax differential compared to what I pay here, my healthcare deductible maxes out before that. Yeah, it's smaller than that amount. So I just kind of at the start of the year pretend that that's just healthcare money, and it's kind of like already gone, if you will. And then I just ignore healthcare bills. It's like I know they'll max out. If I don't go to the doctor so much, it'll be less than this number I'm assuming I'll pay. Whatever, cool. So it's more of a spectacle to me to look at these medical bills and be like, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Exactly as you say, someone without healthcare, without insurance, like getting these crazy bills must just be a
panic attacks
killer.
Yeah.
And plus, the insurance company, like on my bill, it always has the actual charge and then the negotiated charge. Yeah. So I guess if I didn't have health insurance, it would just be that like enormous number in the other column, which is like always about double or triple the negotiated charge.
Either that or it might be like considerably lower and they're just like negotiating a larger rate because they know the insurance company will pay for it.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the power bill was one troubling thing about Montreal. The other troubling thing that I noticed is I went into a store recently and I was looking at the magazine section and there were absolutely no video game magazines on the shelf.
How can you live there, man? Well, in the day of digital, digital magazines taking over, maybe that's to be expected, and that's the sad reality.
It's weird, you know. I guess it makes sense because I personally haven't bought a video game magazine in at least 5 years. And so I guess it's just a little bit hypocritical if I'm not going to buy something within a 5-year period to just expect that it's still going to be
great, but it's
that there's still a market for it.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, like, you know, you can compare all the different print media and even just newspapers and stuff. If video game magazines particularly have taken a hit, or if it's just kind of an industry-wide thing. What was the last video game magazine you bought?
I probably bought a GamePro magazine at one point when I was like flying on an airplane.
It's great. So GamePro, we agreed to talk about magazines today, and the first one that comes up is GamePro. Like every time, I thought GamePro was long since dead. I haven't seen it in years and years, and yet it was kind of a staple of my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, you'd go and get the newest GamePro, and did you see that awesome game in GamePro? And like Super Nintendo, or I guess Nintendo, had their magazines, and then you had these magazines devoted to Genesis and Sega stuff. And I was, of course, like the big Nintendo guy. But at the very least, even I could admit, like GamePro was at least kind of that middle ground, like that unbiased view by people who looked at both systems and would give kind of a. It's not just, they wouldn't just be on Nintendo's side all the time. Actually, I almost felt like GamePro tended to kind of, maybe they were Sega fans or something. They tended to go that way, but you know, they at least were a third party to look to.
Yeah, so I just looked it up, and apparently GamePro's last issue was in winter 2011.
2011. Ooh.
So it must have been
that's
like
close enough that it makes me sad.
Yeah. So
it's not like it ended in 2000.
So it must have been like 2009 or something when I was flying to the East Coast from Toronto that I bought a GamePro magazine at the airport, and that I think must have been the last time I bought a video game magazine. So it's weird to be nostalgic for this thing that I just had no use for. But you know, it's weird to go in and look at a magazine section. It's like there's knitting magazines. Like there's literally a knitting magazine that comes with yarn in a plastic bag.
But no video game magazines.
But no video game magazines. It's I don't know. It makes me sad, but at the same time, I completely understand it. I feel like, you know, knitting, there's probably no sense of urgency to get the latest knitting news.
Yeah, right.
So that you can buy your $60 yarn when it's released on Tuesday.
Awesome.
I mean, maybe there's people that live like that.
Well, maybe. I mean, there's a niche market for everything. I'm sure there's like a knitting like Reddit channel.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Where, you know, all that latest news is flying through. So I think the biggest magazine demise, certainly, I mean, everyone, I don't even remember GamePro ending, so that tells you how little I cared. But I mean, Nintendo Power ending was like the end of an era for me.
Yeah.
And same thing. I mean, I wasn't subscribed. It was just kind of, I just assumed it would always be there.
Yeah.
And I mean, in retrospect, I don't know. I think I would have almost happily subscribed, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I remember the GamePro, the Nintendo Powers of my youth were just so cool. Like maybe that was just because I was like so into those games, and it's just so much fun to look at all the maps of Castlevania and Secret of Mana and just, you know, the Nestor comics and Zelda comics and everything. And the later issues were just kind of like, I don't know, I just felt they were really fluffy. It's just like, here's a bunch of Nintendo 64 games I don't care about, whatever. Like, I guess in like 93, you could basically limit all of your reporting to games on Nintendo systems, and I'd be happy, versus like in 2010, I felt like I was just getting a limited slice of the whole picture. So I didn't care so much, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The last game magazine, amongst the last game magazine I bought, game magazines I bought. I tried to buy the last issue of Nintendo Power. It was sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
But I got the second last. So, high five. I think it was the second last.
I can't remember. You had a subscription to that when you were a kid?
No, not really. Somebody we know had a subscription, and he gave them all to me.
I like how you completely fully say the name, and then you're like, someone we know.
Just cut that.
We'll just bleep that name out or something.
You sure? So I have all of those in my basement, along with a whole bunch that I myself had bought.
Yeah.
Along with a bunch that I had inherited from a neighbor, whose name I don't remember. Andrew something, but it doesn't matter. But
Andrew
anyway,
Dice Clay.
He never went to our high school. He lived somewhere else, and his parents were divorced, and so he lived there in the summers. So only, and then we'd always play games, and he gave me all this game stuff because he was too cool for it or something. Yeah. So anyway, combined, I have actually, of course, some doubles too, but quite a good collection of Nintendo Power in my basement, which is nice.
I'm mildly disappointed about my lifestyle choices. Okay. When I was little, we ended up I used to watch GamePro TV, and we had. I can't remember if I had a subscription to GamePro. I think that was just something that we would regularly buy from Shoppers Drug Mart or something.
Yeah, I certainly never had a subscription.
And then we did end up getting a subscription to Game Player magazine, which I remember really liking.
Game Player?
Yeah, Game Player.
I don't even know if I know what it is.
They had a lot of. It was like GamePro basically, but the reviewers were much more sarcastic. I remember there was.
Oh, awesome! Okay.
I remember there would be you write to the editor or whatever, and the editor was such a dick.
Sweet.
He would just make fun of people and stuff, and I don't know. I remember thinking it was cool, and they were big on doing April Fool's jokes and stuff.
Nice.
Game Player April Fool Mortal Kombat.
Apparently it's called Game Players. 89 to 98.
Yeah, I had that when I was still living in Amherst, I think. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to bother trying to skim that because I can't talk and read at the same time. But yeah, we had a subscription to Game Players, and I remember really liking that. And then I eventually got the Nintendo Power subscription when we moved to Truro, and I remember when I got that subscription, I think they sent me a VHS that had behind the scenes footage for Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
So I don't know, that was a really cool era for me. When they moved on to start covering N64 stuff all the time, and I didn't have an N64, then I lost that, and I got a subscription to the official the official PlayStation magazine. And they always used to come with demo discs, so that was amazing.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
I loved that. I didn't have a subscription, but I probably bought it every month. I mean, I would very regularly go and get it. So I don't know if I have any of those. I think the only magazine I ever loved enough to hold on to really was the Nintendo Powers. So even though I had a lot of PC Gamer and PlayStation Magazine and some other, obviously GamePro, they don't survive today. I don't know where they're not in my parents' basement, whereas there's an enormous stack of Nintendo Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you you said you started Nintendo Power I guess if they were talking about Donkey Kong Country, it'd be kind of mid to late Super Nintendo era.
Yeah, it would have been 95 that I first got a subscription.
Right. Yeah, not to just exclude you, but the early 90s ones were my favorite. They had the thick spine, and then they were just I don't know, chock full of a lot of game art, and they really laid out all the games and stuff. Plus, I mean, it was that early-ish Super Nintendo era that was just a lot of fun. They did the special on Castlevania, the Super Nintendo Castlevania, as well as I mean, the Secret of Mana magazine, I guess the one that covered Secret of Mana was like my favorite thing in the world at the time, and I'd draw all the weapons and like imagine other games that were as cool as this one and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I just looked
I don't know what... sorry.
I just looked it up, and you can totally get the that Donkey Kong Country promo VHS is totally up on YouTube. So I'll link to that in our post.
Sweet, and I will follow up and watch it. Nice. Yeah, I remember they had like the top however many games each issue. It'd be like the top 50 from NES, the top however many from Super Nintendo. I'm trying to remember, I think Nintendo was red, Super Nintendo was green, Game Boy was purple, and then for a while there they had a top five Virtual Boy games. Which everyone makes fun of because there was only, I think, 12.
Yeah.
But then I was like always crazy about like statistics and stuff, and so they had it was almost like I don't know, boxers who are like at the top for, you know, however many consecutive weeks. They'd give like some weird, like how many weeks it's been on the chart kind of thing, or like music, I guess. I think for Nintendo, like the first Zelda game started at number 1 and maybe like was always between 1 and 10, but at the end of the when they stopped listing Nintendo games, it was still on there, so it was like the champion for being on the list for like every single week of the Nintendo top 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, so I definitely subscribed a lot, and I would definitely go to the store frequently when I was in high school and whatnot and buy copies. But I don't know, I guess that is just indicative of the time that we were growing up, where we didn't have the internet full of all these blogs and stuff, right? Because and you know, I didn't even have smartphones. Like when I would have bought that Game Pro back in 2009, I didn't have a smartphone, so like there's no such thing as like just loading up some ebooks or something to read on the flight. Like that's why I was buying a magazine.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It's another one of those bittersweet things. It's like game packaging and game boxes and manuals that have, you know, obviously now that we have digital distribution is kind of a mainstream thing, that's a dead art, right? And so magazines are arguably the same deal. I mean, they never really, it's not really a respected art so much, right? Like I think like if you want game art, you can just buy a game art book now, or and probably find some sort of archive on the internet.
And I think you even have to. Like, I think that was a large part of the reason I was getting turned off the magazines too. Is like, I used to really love all the artwork that was in those as a kid. Yep. And as we moved into the 3D era, they just increasingly were using screenshots and using like the 3D models instead of illustrations. Absolutely, yeah. Especially like Nintendo Power. As soon as Nintendo 64 came out, it was like they just wanted to show off that. Yeah. That, like, I don't know. Everything looked like it was from Donkey Kong Country. But even Donkey Kong Country, like, obviously I think they developed it on like Silicon Graphics workstations or something. Yeah. And then so the actual like raw image was still higher, of course, like resolution than what the Super Nintendo could do. But the Nintendo Power images were all just, it was that like Silicon Graphics original, I don't know, rendered image or whatever, just everywhere. And it was a huge turnoff. I keep going back to the Secret of Mana thing, but it was just this fully illustrated guide to Secret of Mana. That's why I love the magazine. Yeah, I mean, didn't need like the screenshotted guide to whatever, Donkey Kong Country. Yeah. So, you know, it's sad because when I moved to Australia, I had like a huge stack of this stuff, and I was just like, do I put this in storage? When am I ever going to read this stuff again? Let's just cut down on belongings. And so I remember the studio that I had just, like, I knew that I was going to be moving to Australia before I finished up at my previous job. So I remember just taking, like, over a period of a couple days, just like taking stacks of these magazines, and I would just like leave them in the washroom. Because like there were a bunch of people who had already done that with sports magazines and car magazines and stuff, and there weren't any video game magazines. I was like, okay, you guys, you're gonna get to catch up on your 1995 video game literature.
You know, magazines are one thing, but it's funny to me that you like at this one point in your life just purged your I don't know,
childhood
of all like, yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I was actively talking to you at that point, I would have probably like bought half of it.
Yeah.
Magazines are a little tough, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, it was you know, I love those. I couldn't just put them in the recycling bin. I had to at least make an attempt to get someone else to take them.
It's like when in the movies when people leave their infant daughter on a doorstep and ring the doorbell and run off.
They can't just put the kid in the dumpster.
Well, some do, but yes, you have a heart, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I had a weird train of thought that I'm going to try to remember while you say the thought that just came into your head.
I was just going to bring off all of the one-off, I don't know what they're called, I guess strategy guides or whatever that Nintendo used to produce.
Right.
That I thought were super awesome.
Yeah.
And some of them were kind of, I think some of them it's like you'd start a subscription to Nintendo Power and you'd get them. Like the Super Nintendo, I forget what it's called, Password Atlas or whatever. And there was like a guide to
how to win at video games.
Mario Paint.
Oh, right.
That wasn't made by Nintendo. I know the one you're talking about. They had a Mario Paint special, and it was the coolest thing ever. They, like recreated all these like scenes from like famous, you know, like Zelda or Metroid or whatever. So nowadays, of course, on a computer, it's incredibly easy to just you know, get a screenshot and zoom in and look at it and stuff. But back then, like if I wanted to recreate Link, I'd have to, I don't know, have it on another screen and look very closely at the super blurred out pixels to find his bitmap, and or like take a picture and then with my crappy camera, you know, it wasn't a trivial thing.
Yeah.
So here was this guide saying, you know, here's Link's sprite exactly, go nuts, and it did a lot of that stuff, and it was I don't know, it was really really cool. They showed how to make games.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, I can make video games with Mario Paint, and so this magazine was like a godsend to me at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had that one, and they had the Password. I don't think it was Atlas. Maybe it was. It was just a huge. It was almost like just a huge list of passwords and cheat codes to get ahead and stuff on Nintendo games. But it was officially published by Nintendo, and it was awesome, really cool.
Yeah.
And there was a third one. What was the third one? It was, I think. Oh, the third one was just a game guide. It was like an early Super Nintendo era game guide of Super Nintendo, Nintendo, and Game Boy. Those three, and it was just going through all the games.
Yeah.
It had like a picture and I think a rating and something. Those three were awesome, but my all-time favorite will always be the official Nintendo Player's Guide from I think 1990 or 1989 even. Actually, maybe earlier, 88, I think. Do you know the one I'm talking about with the black cover?
I'm Googling it right now. It says it's from 87.
87, wow. It is awesome. Yeah. Game Atlas is the other one I was thinking of with the passwords and stuff. Yeah, the official Nintendo Player's Guide with the black cover.
Nice.
A complete review of over 90 games of your NES. So I got this because this is one that my neighbor had, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't need this anymore." And it's still my favorite book like ever. It's basically, I mean, if you look on the internet, you'll just see like pictures of pages. They just had like maps and
the maps of Zelda
reviews
here
of all these games. Yeah, they describe every single Nintendo game, which at the time was, as they say, over 90.
Yeah.
They have a picture at the back. At the end, they have like so they go into detail for the important games, but then for like kind of lesser games, they have just like a listing at the back.
Yeah.
But for each one, they have a picture, describe the maker, the year it came out, and so on and so forth. And the people who had it before me had like in pen written on each game like what they thought of it.
Yeah.
So they were trying to go through all the games like, this one sucks, this is great.
Yeah.
And I remember that they hated Ghosts and Goblins, and that always stuck out to me for some reason.
Yeah, I used to buy these strategy guides too. Like there were like paperback novel style things that were like how to win at Nintendo games, and they would have like strategies in them for like Castlevania 2 and stuff.
You came to my junior high, but I think we did not share the same elementary.
No.
Certainly, yeah. Did your elementary school have scholastic book fairs?
Yes, and I think I bought basically just Calvin Hobbes books.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I always bought Nintendo strategy guides. That's it. They actually had Nintendo game, like I think the one you're talking about. Let me look it up. How to win at Nintendo.
I think so.
How to win at Nintendo games with like the weird like animal on the cover. Okay, I know that one, but it's not the one I'm thinking of. I do know this one. This like paperback thing, right? There's one. It's
yeah. It was definitely How to Win at Video Games 1 through 3 that I had.
Strategies.
Oh no, I had the fourth one as well.
Nice. Strategies, Nintendo games. I don't know. There was this one particular one which I don't have anymore. But it was more like magazine style. Like it was that shape, kind of like A1 size or whatever. Oh, there it is. Yeah, hot tips for the coolest Nintendo games and strategies for Nintendo games. Yeah, okay, these two. All right, look up hot tips for the coolest Nintendo games. So it was like, that's another, I guess, dead art in a way. And I knew this wasn't an official, like Nintendo produced thing, but still, I mean, since it was very pixelated games, of course, they would just like make their own interpretations and their own art for stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it looked like shit. Like it looked terrible, but it was, I think that was kind of part of the fun to me anyway at the time. And it was still a lot of fun to read through and kind of get this third party's like take on stuff, I guess.
So one thing tangentially related, I love to use that word and have never once looked up how to pronounce it.
Tangential.
So I don't remember if I ever mentioned this to you, but I've just like for kicks, I'm like making an ABCs book for video game characters.
Yeah.
And so I started it a long time ago and wrote it and then just never went back to it. And I decided to start working on it again this past week.
Nice.
So I revised all the writing and then collected all my reference art for the characters I want to draw. And I've given myself like some criteria on how to go about doing this. And one of it is like, I'm not recycling franchises. So like, so for example, Legend of Zelda, I'm going to include Zelda because she starts with Z and it's hard to find characters that start with Z. But because I've got her, I'm not going to use Link or Ganon or anyone else.
Right. Yeah.
And so one part of it is like, I'm trying to do word, like a little story for each of them that's just like a quick little rhyme that's based off of their character, obviously. And so I wrote a description on Zelda based on her actions in the canon of the original Zelda game. But the problem is, if I draw a picture that looks like how Zelda looked in the original game, I don't think anyone is going to recognize her.
I would.
Like, there are literally 2 drawings that I've seen of her from that first game. And one was in the strategy guide. So it's like there is almost no artwork of the original Zelda. So it's weird. It's like, even if I drew her as she looked in the Super Nintendo, I think everyone would all of a sudden recognize her. But she was like a brunette with just a plain pink dress, basically, originally.
You might have to cheat your rule for that one, I think.
I'm debating it. I don't know. I might just like draw it and then stick it on Reddit and then wait for everyone to complain. And if they do, then I'll redo it.
Yeah, it's such a recognizable character too, right?
I mean, she is now.
That's what I mean. I mean, people would recognize that it's not what they are used to or whatever.
Yeah. So far, I did a drawing a long time ago of a Bobo from Double Dragon, and I think I'm going to redo it because I've found an art style that I'm satisfied with trying to pursue for the book, and that didn't quite fit into it. So far I've only got Ultros done at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, I think I saw a Facebook post.
Yeah, I've got a full color version now.
No, nice, excellent. Well, keep me posted. So if we can't get our magazines, we'll make them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever happened? I guess you had a free subscription at one point for a game developer magazine or something.
I did. Well, it wasn't a free subscription. I think it was a Christmas present or something.
Oh, right.
It was cool.
Free as in you personally didn't pay for it.
I personally didn't pay for it. Yeah. I thought it was very cool. I mean, it didn't last very long, honestly.
Yeah.
I only got like less than a year of them before they decided to discontinue the magazine entirely.
Yeah.
But it was organized into sections, so they'd have like the section on art, the section on like software tricks or whatever, implementation stuff, and then the section on
postmortems.
I remember kind of like postmortems was there, and then there was design, and then there was whatever else. And I actually enjoyed it quite a lot. And then so that the company that owned, I guess, Game Developer Magazine also was the same parent company as Gamasutra.
Right.
And if memory recalls, they were basically like, yeah, no one's reading the magazine, so we're just going to put all of our content on Gamasutra.
Yeah.
So just, that's the magazine now.
Gamasutra is
so
weird.
We're canceling this. It's different too. It's a different experience than the magazine was.
Yeah.
Certainly. And it's like, I find it more, it's not to criticize it, but like the magazine was more what I was looking for, kind of. It's like, it was really like, there was a big section on like,
well, it's curated,
stuff.
right?
It's like, yeah, well, of course. But I mean, even so, like they'd be guaranteed once per month to have this very interesting, say, programming article. Whereas Gamasutra, it's like, I don't know who the original writers were for the magazine, but are they not even making the content anymore? Because I don't really see any of that content. Yeah, it's like it's not a replacement for the magazine so much as it's like in a similar vein. So satisfy yourself with this since we don't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
So it was cool though, I guess, when the magazine got canceled and the company gave everyone a free subscription to GDC Vault for like a year or something to make up for the fact we'd paid for a magazine that's not going to exist anymore. Yeah. Although, in a sense, it's not really free if you've paid for the magazine, but I didn't pay, so I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I think I only got like 5 or 6 issues of the magazine, though I had known about it before I got the subscription and probably bought a few then as well.
Yeah.
That was cool, actually. I like, now as an adult, that interests me almost as much, I guess. Like just a pure games magazine with game news is okay.
Yeah.
But I like, of course, like game art and like kind of in-depth analysis of designs and stuff a lot. So that's why, again, going back to those early Nintendo Powers, that appeals to me a lot. But given the choice between just like, here's some game news and something like Game Developer, I was very much more interested in the second style of like analysis of games more so than news. So
yeah,
it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, I don't think I'm. I don't know. Maybe if I ever happen to be in a store and I see a magazine, I'll pick it up. But it's I don't know. It's still tragic that I just don't see the magazines at all anymore.
Well, it's I don't know.
This is the same as I feel in the music world, I guess, where like my son is never gonna open up a CD and flip through the booklet while listening to it and stuff. It's always just gonna be like MP3s and.
Yep. I know. It's kind of and even like, let's say digital distribution started including these things. Like, let's say I don't know how this would happen. I doubt it ever would. It would just be a hassle for people, of course. But like, if Steam games came with like digital packaging or something, right? It's like, it's just it's not the same in a way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just such an and maybe I'm overly analog or something. But as like a quick example, kind of, I read a lot of articles, just technical articles or like whatever, art articles or whatever. And I don't know, I don't like staring at a computer screen. I very often find myself printing them off and reading them. I'll just occasionally print a Gamasutra article rather. And I don't know why, I just like reading the physical thing. It just doesn't strain my eyes so much or something. So the experience of looking at a physical, printed thing is just pleasant to me.
I've never printed an article, but I used to print guitar tabs. Like whenever I was trying to learn a song, like trying to keep all that on a computer screen just felt wrong to me, compared to like having it on physical paper. which is, I don't know. It's maybe that's just has to do with the awkwardness of sitting at a desk with a guitar.
Possibly.
But yeah, I remember like when I bought Ni no Kuni, that has like a digital manual with it, and like I don't know, I don't like having the digital manuals. Like I would much rather have the game ship with a manual. Hey, have you seen the new the Switch packaging?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's ridiculous. They've got like a DVD sized case for the games, but the games themselves are like smaller than 3DS.
It's like a 3DS thing, right? Yeah.
And there's no book inside it either, so it's just like this.
Come on. Come on. Name a standalone game that they're selling. I just got the
Breath of the Wild.
Oh, well, duh. Is that like the only? That's the only game I ever hear anyone talk about. Is there any other games?
I have no
Breath of the
idea.
Wild is supposed to be this fantastic masterpiece, apparently, but
well, yeah, it's like apparently like almost every review site has given it a perfect score.
Yeah.
And so that just the fact that there's been like 20 different places giving it a perfect score is what's made me start paying attention, because it's like up until now,
Nintendo needs that, right? Like
they
need to sell this with their games, and they can if they do it well. So
so it's good that they're realizing that, because I don't know, I'm still annoyed enough with the launch of the mini classic that I've just put no emotional investment into the Switch at all. Like I know next to nothing about it.
Yeah, I'm very close to that. Wow, seriously, the ratings are crazy on this game.
Yeah, they're
like almost perfect across the board.
Yeah,
in the whole history of Metacritic, it's only behind Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, which I don't think Ocarina fairly deserves that high of a rating at all.
I entirely agree, 1,000 times over. But the world seems to, love this game. I'm certainly interested.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm waiting to find out more about the dev kits. Apparently, the dev kits are going to cost like $200 more, and they're like available to anyone.
So you could have a Switch that is, for all intents and purposes, a normal Switch, but also allows you to.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to hope to find out, is whether or not they can just commercially play games as well, or if they're pure dev kits.
Right.
Because I think for the Xbox One, like if you get a dev kit, you can't actually stick a disc in it. So
I see.
So I haven't learned enough to know whether or not it's going to be worth getting a dev kit or not. But I might.
Yeah, I saw some people. Yeah, I saw some people like touching on it, like discussing the dev kits and stuff in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy at work actually selling a Super Nintendo dev kit. Or not Super Nintendo, sorry, PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Super Nintendo would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget how much he wanted for it, but it was cool.
Yeah.
I think I might have even seen one somewhere before. I don't know. Whatever.
What's weird is that there was a company that went bankrupt in Vancouver late last year, and so they just sold everything in auction, which is weird because like the dev kits, they don't belong to the companies, they like are on loan. So
right, okay.
So anyway, they sold their like PlayStation 4 dev kits and stuff, and I guess when you buy those, they're just, the IP gets locked from Sony, and it's just completely a brick basically. So
so it's just a showpiece more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
got it.
Did you get any gaming in this week?
Yeah. Well, so I've set this somewhat pointless, but I've set this goal of playing at least an hour of games a day this year, just because I did so little gaming last year.
Yeah.
Like compared to every other year of my life. So this week, yeah, just mostly FTL.
Yeah, I think
just playing it.
I can't remember what day of the week it was, but there was like I like sent you a quick message and I was like, what do you want to do for the podcast? And you're like, I'll talk about it later, I'm busy. And then like an hour later, I saw you on Steam loading up FTL.
so I was busy. What do you mean? Yeah, I've been taking your tactic of like squishing it in whenever I can in my schedule, rather than like waiting for this like perfect dedicated, like it's 11 p.m. and everyone's asleep. I'm gonna play games for 3 hours kind of thing. I'm not trying to. I'm probably gonna just beat the game. I don't know, just have fun with it. Yeah. Maybe beat it on at least medium. Yeah. Which I am about to, I think, and then try hard mode. But I don't know. When you first started, there's the option to turn on extra features or whatever. Yeah. It's like we recommend this if you're an experienced player. So I was just like, it's probably like, stuff that wasn't available day one. That exactly. Added to the game or patched in. So I'll play it a few times with that off just to get the feel for it, and then turn it on. So I'm just kind of trying to experience the game a little. I actually like it a lot. It's my kind of game. This weird, quirky, like simulation-y thing. It's not like hardcore like SimCity simulation, but it's just kind of fun. Yeah,
it's weird. I put a ton of time into that, and it's weird because it's like I really like the gameplay of it. Like it's got an addictiveness to it because it's like so unpredictable, and you've just kind of got to beat the odds. But that's at the same time what I don't like about it is just the complete randomness. Like I had put like 70 hours into it almost, and there's like a race of crystalline aliens, and it's just like you have to randomly get like I think like 4 different events to happen across your playthrough in order to unlock them. And because it's all random generated, like in theory, I could play for 1,000 hours and never get it to unlock.
Yeah, I'm really not down with that kind of stuff generally. Like even like some people want to get every single achievement or whatever. Like I don't care about achievements at all for the most part. I mean, if a game has like 3 achievements, I might be like, okay, I'll do them all, or I'll like look at the achievements and see like what I'm missing, kind of like, or what other people are doing even. Yeah. Like if I just beat a game, it's like, okay, and then I notice there's an achievement for something I've never heard of, I might go and find that because it might be interesting to me. But so like FTL, I don't know, there's like a bunch of achievements I don't care about, and then like that kind of thing, like rare aliens. I don't know, is it going to make the game more fun for me? I probably don't care enough, so I probably will not put 70 hours in.
I enjoyed it enough, and I was less in like clear my backlog mode at that point, and just into like, I bought this game and I really love it, so I'm just going to keep playing it and playing it and playing it.
That's fair.
It's nice to get like that with a game every now and then.
Of course, yeah. Well, I myself, I don't feel done with it, so I don't know when that'll be, but I'm just gonna like. Whereas, like, say Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, I beat it and I thought, yeah, okay, I'm done. I could have gone and maybe unlocked whatever or did whatever, but I just didn't care enough.
I guess that's partially the difference between like a roguelike, though, where it's like it's going to be a different game the next time you play it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So is that the only one you've been playing then?
A tiny bit of Mario Run. Yes. I mean, the game is like, you can beat it over a lunch hour, but I'm at the last level, and I just want to beat it with the sound on. So I never want to play it when I'm at home. Right. The only time I was playing it was like at lunch for 5 minutes here and there. Right. So if that counts as a game, I mean, I don't know, why not, right? Yeah. What else? I occasionally was playing, I think I mentioned I played Pilot Wings with my wife. That was funny. Yeah, that pretty much. A little bit of like other stuff here and there, but there's no like game I'm trying to beat right now that I put so much more time into or anything. Yeah. How about you? I think I don't remember what you did.
Well, I wrapped up on Gunpoint. And that.
Oh wow! Yeah, it was only like a couple hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it was around 3.5 hours. I think it took me, and
I think I'm an hour into it, so I could probably do the same.
It's a short game, but it's simple and it's fun. I recommend it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
I can't remember if I mentioned Time Frame to you. I think I did. That was part of the Freedom Bundle. Right. Yeah, so I finished Gunpoint, and then I've moved on to Valkyria Chronicles, which you mentioned. Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I mentioned on the podcast, but okay. Yeah, I like that one a lot. It's a tactical game. kind of along the same lines as Final Fantasy Tactics, except they've got a really unique mechanic in that. In Tactics, it's turn-based and everyone gets their own turn, and a character doesn't get to act until their speed tells them that they get to act again. In this one, you have access to, I think, like 9 characters at once, and you can choose whichever one of those you're going to move, and after you do an action, you could choose the same character to act a second time. So once all of your actions are used up, then it's the other person's turn. But you could use one person to act over and over and over. But the other thing that's unique about it is that when you choose to use an action, it goes into like a first-person shooter game, basically. And so it's up to you to run across the map and try to hide behind cover and stuff and shoot your other target. And the whole time you're moving, the enemy might be shooting at you at the same time. So that's why you have to like use cover and stuff, is because you're actively getting shot at while you're running. So I don't know. It seems like a very unique mechanic and very cool, but because of this ability to just use one character over and over, it kind of seems to lack refinement, I guess, in that you can just use one. Depending on what the conditions are of the battle, you can just use one person to run straight across the map and capture the flag, and then you've won.
I'd have to play it, but yeah, I don't know. That sounds very broken to me. The game has great ratings.
It depends, because sometimes like the condition for victory is capture the flag, but other times it's like defeat every enemy, and so it's more fun when it's defeat every enemy.
Got it. How many hours are you into it?
Steam says 6, but that's not accurate. Right. It's like I'm on chapter 5, I think, and I spent a lot of time. This is actually the first time I've ever done this, but the whole time I was playing through, I'm like stopping and taking notes on like what I like or don't like about the game.
Right. Cool.
So I'm like actually trying to analyze the game as I'm playing it. So
cool.
So times in game is 6 hours, but I'm not 6 hours into this game.
Got it. Probably 3 or so.
Yeah,
something like that. Cool. All right then.
All right. So I guess we'll wrap it up then for the day.
For sure. What was your favorite video game magazine growing up?
I liked, I guess, the PlayStation magazine, just because, like I said, the demo discs that came with it. Like the first time I played Shadow of the Colossus was the demo for it, and I remember spending a ton of time trying to climb up the tower at the very beginning. So I don't know. And this,
that's fair.
Yeah, those demos really made that game, or really made that game magazine.
I would agree. I don't even remember really anything about the magazine except the demo discs. And I remember the demo discs had like a import game that wasn't available, like Tail Concerto. Awesome. That was very cool. Well, for me, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, Nintendo Power was my baby, you know. So
yeah,
cool.
All right, let's
all right.
Let's end it.
So ends another Saturday morning.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time.
Later.